don't sound that scary.
You want to say that again?
A large pentagram on the floor, an altar, a large black kettle, and a black robe.
A pointy hat, a broomstick.
Hey, man.
3 newts,
This is
a
what he
lizard tongue.
Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 2. So in this scene, this pretty short scene, we're basically looking at our introduction to Claudius, who is the new king of Denmark. More on that later. And basically making some reference to some off-camera conflicts that are going on. We then have Hamlet expressing his grief over the loss of his father, and then we have a piece with Hamlet and Horatio talking to each other. So let's look at those different sections. So, first off, in the text of Hamlet, we have Claudius is referred to by other characters as Claudius. However, within the script itself, it actually only ever refers to him as king, which I like because it sort of implies that, you know, no one bothered to learn his name. So we meet Claudius with him rather pompously introducing himself and how wonderful he is. We also get our first indication that it's been a really short period of time since the old king's death, King Hamlet, and Claudius now being the king. So if we look, in fact his first line, Claudius's first line is, "Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brother's death, the memory be green." Very little time has gone by since the death of the king and the subsequent appearance of Claudius. Now, this actually gets into something really interesting, which is, why is Claudius the king? If we're looking at England in the time period, patriarchal monarchy, it should go king, prince, and so on. So logically, the king's only son, Hamlet, Prince Hamlet, should be able to be king, and he's not. And this is never really addressed, and there's lots of different theories of explanations of it, but basically Hamlet is not king. So with the death of the old king, the king's brother, Claudius, is now king. To add some weirdness to that, Claudius is now married to the old king's wife, his former sister-in-law, Hamlet's mother, Gertrude. So we went from a family unit of King Hamlet married to Queen Gertrude, their adult son Hamlet, to King Hamlet's sudden death, King Hamlet's brother Claudius, basically very quickly marrying Gertrude. Now, this isn't ever really viewed as normal. It is hit on as being an incestuous relationship real early on. In fact, Claudius himself says it in his first speech when he introduces the situation that he's now married to Gertrude. He says, "Therefore, our sometime sister, now our queen." I mean, they're not technically related, but if you have to say we're not technically related, you probably shouldn't get married. That's just, you shouldn't. It's probably a bad idea. So, Gertrude continues to be queen. Claudius is now married to her. He is now the king. And he does, this entire section of this part of the text is him talking about how great he is, what a good king he's going to be, how he's going to take care of, the ding-dong Fortinbras over in Norway, which refers to the king of Norway's nephew, Fortinbras, who is a contemporary of Hamlet's. Now, while it might make sense that in the speech, after Claudius immediately says how great he is, he doesn't immediately start talking to Hamlet. In fact, he starts talking to Laertes. Who's Laertes? Well, Claudius's major domo, his personal assistant, this guy named Polonius, has 2 adult children, a son, Laertes, and a daughter, Ophelia. More on these 2 in a bit. And then the first time that Claudius references Hamlet is after saying all these great things to Laertes. He turns to Hamlet and he says, "But now my cousin Hamlet and my son." All right, it's a little forward. And Hamlet, dressed all in black, full mourning, looks at him and says, "A little more than kin and less than kind." Okay, that's a little sassy there, Hamlet. Basically saying, we are kin now by marriage. Our feelings for each other are not kind. So our closeness is technical, not because of love. Claudius asks, "How is it that the clouds still hang on you?" And Hamlet says, "Not so, my lord, I am too much in the sun." Gertrude then comes around and says exactly what a mourning widow should say to her son who just lost his father. "Good Hamlet, cast thy nighted color off, and let thine eye look like a friend on Denmark. Do not forever with thy veiled lid seek for thy noble father in the dust. Thou know'st 'tis common all that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity." "Aye, madam," says Hamlet, "'tis common." Gertrude says, "If it be, then why seems it so particular with thee?" The first thing that these 2 guys say to Hamlet, basically Claudius is like, "Hey, why so sad, Hamlet? Ruining my party." And then Hamlet's old mother is like, "Why are you wearing black? Why can't you get over this? Don't you know that everybody dies? Like, come on." And Hamlet's like, yeah, but okay." Goes on to say, "Seems, madam, nay, it is. I know not seems. 'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, no customary suits of solemn black, nor windy suspiration of forced breath, nor the fruitful river in the eye, nor the dejective haviour of the visage, together with all forms, moods, shapes of grief that can denote me truly. These indeed seem, for they are actions that a man might play, but I have that within which passes show, these but the trappings and the suits of woe." Basically saying, my suits of mourning, someone could fake. None of the things that I do, crying, breathing, sad faces, none of these things are truly the grief that I'm filled with. Other people could fake it, but I am this grief. Claudius goes on to be like, "Hey, it's nice that you care about your father, and it's good, to mourn him, to give these mourning duties to your father, but you must know your father lost a father. That father lost his. I mean, it's good that you're mourning your father's death, but, his father died, and the father before that died, that's just that's what happens. You gotta get over it. It's been, 2 months, man. Come on, it's time to party. Hanging out with your mom, you see me crying? No? Ha! You gotta get over it, bud." Goes on to say, "We pray you throw to earth this unprevailing woe, and think of us as of a father." Don't worry, Hamlet. I'm your daddy now. When the court leaves and Hamlet is left alone, we have Hamlet's first soliloquy, which starts with, "Oh, that this too sullied flesh would melt." And his first soliloquy is basically Hamlet expressing to the audience, as soliloquies can do, the inner thoughts and feelings of a character, Hamlet expressing to the audience the depth of his grief. It's the first time, actually, that we have Hamlet making reference to suicide, because his first few lines, it's actually in his fourth line that he says, that he wishes that his flesh could melt and change forms like alchemy, become something not human, or if God hadn't said you can't kill yourself. Oh, that this too sullied flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew, or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. In this time period, again, looking at a religious sort of read of this, and everybody in England would kind of be coming from the same place here, suicide was a mortal sin, you can be forgiven for it. And so the fact that in basically our first introduction to Hamlet, he says that he wishes that he could change form into something unhuman, or that he could kill himself. And this gives a really poignant depth to his grief. And we also know that Hamlet has a lot of hang-ups with his mother. He blames his mother, Gertrude, for having already remarried. He does think of the relationship between Claudius and Gertrude as being relatively incestuous. In this same speech, he refers to her as an animal, because he says, a beast that wants discourse of reason would have mourned longer, married with my uncle, my father's brother. We also have throughout the entire play a lot of comparisons between Claudius and the previous king, and they are in different sections there. Now, obviously, the last thing that Hamlet would want right now would be to find out that the ghost of his father is haunting the walls of the castle. And that's exactly what he gets, though. Ha! So he's finished with his soliloquy, he's overcome with grief, and then in comes Horatio. He is so excited to see Horatio. It's the best. And one of the things that's interesting too, we can see this whole, the closeness, is that while Hamlet is a higher rank than Horatio, it's very clear from the way that they speak to each other that they're very close, that Hamlet is one of the few, Horatio is one of the few people that Hamlet truly trusts and really cares about. And so they start talking, and Horatio then says, yeah, so there's this ghost on the walls of the castle, and looks just like your father. Sorry about it. And Hamlet's like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, so, it's been haunting the walls of the castle. It appears at like midnight, and then it disappears with the dawn, and yeah, it's just sort of there. We tried to talk to it. It wouldn't talk to us, but I figured, hey, probably wants to talk to you, so maybe let's go on the walls of the castle and go talk to a ghost. What do you think? Horatio leaves. And we actually have basically the voicing of this idea that if there's a spirit walking there, that there's something not right, because Hamlet, and then Hamlet actually makes it very concretely clear, my father's spirit in arms, all is not well. I doubt some foul play. With the night we're come, till then sit still my soul. Foul deeds will rise, though all the earth overwhelm them to men's eyes.